Protestant Separatist presents The Pet Goat of 911, the true story of President Bush and why he did what he did on September 11th. My Pet Baphomet, the true story that connects to the smoking gun of the conspiracy of Freemasons once again to commit sacrifice on a grand scale for power. Once you understand the true history of America and its founding and the deception behind it, you'll see the story of my pet goat in a whole different light. You'll see it for what it really is. It's not by coincidence on September 11th, during the tragic events that was unfolding, that President Bush was sitting in a classroom down in Florida where his brother was governor and had claimed martial law already. To be sitting in a classroom reading about a pet goat. People think the big controversy about this uncanny behavior of the president was that he did nothing, that he didn't know what to do. The simple fact was that he was told exactly what to do because that's why he's in the position he's in as the temporary, to do exactly the bidding of the Skull and Bones, the secret society, the Masonic secret society, a society that goes back to ancient times, to Alexander the Great. The story of the king riding the goat is not a story, it is a religious belief involving the constellations, going back to Jupiter, the horned god, Alexander here wearing the horns, being the son of God, and you'll find that the kings were always representative as the one who rides the goat. The Romans and the pagans made different depictions of goat riding. This is Allah with his three daughters, Allah meaning the god of all things, which was transformed into the goat, Baphomet, the god of all things. Today is known as Pan. Pan meaning universal. That's why Pan is in University Park, because the Freemasons' headquarters are here in Indianapolis, the Scottish Rite, and they pretty much run the show, and that's why they get away with desecrating the crossing commandments and have illegal preferences given to the pagans' polytheism and its pantheon. The Masons have a lot of depictions riding the goat, trying to make it sound like it's some kind of a joke or some kind of initiation, but basically riding the goat is an ancient religious ritual to where the Freemason is representing the sun, and on December 25th, when the sun is born, or the birth of the unconquered sun god, the sun rides Capricorn up to his zenith, to his highest point, to the path of Ra, the point where the light and dark are equal in strength. And it's all part of the apotheosis. But the riding the goat is symbolic. When the Mason is riding the goat, it's symbolic of the Mason himself becoming a god, becoming enlightened by going through this counterfeit Christian ritual of dying and being resurrected or being raised under a new God's name. We went to the magic square with the assistance of riding the goat. The process of the king riding the goat was representing the king as the sun, ascending into the heavens to his highest point to be on the throne as God, and therefore the goat was able to ascend into the heavens. The Capricorn, giving the king the ability for the apotheosis of becoming God, also obtained access into the heavens. As far as the war in heaven, you understand what is bound on earth is bound in heaven, and what is loosed on earth is loosed in heaven. Therefore, you understand the significance of not allowing this to continue, this Masonic ritual of creating beings under this strange God. It's to the point to where they rule the government, they control the nukes, secret society that is totally against anything and everything that we stand for and consider sacred. The whole Masonic concept is anti-Christian, pro-pagan, pro-polytheism, and satanic to the core. And to make it all worse, it's a counterfeit Christianity. It's a deception. Bush is a prime example of how you can deceive a nation and convince the churches that he's a religious man, that God speaks through him, and he hears voices, and he's pretty much controlled by God, when the fact is he's possessed. Some would like to call it mind control, but he's possessed, and it comes from the behind God's back there's an entryway. The Egyptians found it from the Babylonians, and Washington designed the Capitol to where you have a path to the heavens using magic circles and magic squares, and Indianapolis's connection to Washington and how it was built for this gateway or pathway for the apotheosis of Washington to ascend into the heavens, to make war in the heavens as he is making war here on earth against the Word of God. Allegiance to Lucifer and Freemasonry as the government behind the government. It's about bloodlines. You think you have democracy, and behind this American project, but there is not democracy. It's bloodlines and loyalty to the pagan god of all things, the G-O-A-T.
When I became a citizen, I read the Constitution. In fact, I memorized it. I wept as I read it. I thought, my God, I want to live there because I saw Jesus. I saw God. This was a profoundly religious country.
The church has been deceived from the beginning to the end to believing that the founders actually cared about the sanctity of life, or that they were Christian, or believed in the salvation of the only begotten Son. That things would be different if we had a Christian as a president. Things would be different if the church got involved with politics. Nothing's changed. The sacrifice has continued. That's what their religion is about. They have always been a religious people, but their religion is death. Their worship is sacrifice. Their God is not the God of the Bible. Their God is the pagan God of all things, all religions, all gods, all goddesses to play. And we shouldn't be playing either. It's time for us to get serious.